This
మండే
conference
రోజు
will now
డిజైన్
be
పెట్టుకుందాం.
recorded.
ఓకే.
పర్లేదా?
పర్లేదండి. మనం మండే ఒకసారి సెషన్ పెట్టుకుందాం. మండే సెషన్‌లో మనం అందరం ఎవరెవరు చేసింది అంతా రివ్యూ చేద్దాము. అలాగే ఏదైనా డౌట్స్ ఉంటే అప్పుడు చూద్దాం. ఏదైనా ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ వస్తే అప్పుడు చూద్దాం. ఓకే.
ఓకే. థ్యాంక్ యూ.
Okay, let's start the session. Are you able to see my screen?
యా కీర్తి, ఏబుల్ టు సీ.
Yeah. So yesterday we have seen how to design RAML, how to design our API, and how to just see in the console. We have simulated the API and all we have seen. So any doubts in that in this class, in yesterday's class, how to do and what are the things to do? Any questions here? Okay. So now coming to real-time projects. So this is how you have to start your project. So first we have to build our RAML file. We have to design our RAML file. So based on this RAML file, if at all after, so yesterday we have discussed, right? So whatever the things which we are doing, we are designing and then we are simulating and then we are taking the feedback from client. If at all the RAML is good and he has given some changes to do, we are doing the changes. And then we are validating with client again if at all any changes are being done and they are correctly changed by us and the client is also satisfied, then we can say our design phase is completed and our API specification is completed. So based on this API specification, whatever we have given, based on this, we have to build our Mule project. So how to build our Mule project? So there is no need of doing it manually. We can directly build our project using this YAML file, whatever the YAML file we have built, right? So using this, we can build it. So let's see how to build that one. In Anypoint Studio, until now what we have seen, we are going to here, we are file, new and Mule project. Here simply we are giving our project name and clicking on OK. So here what we can do is, we can say here I will give onboarding employee API. Here we have multiple options here. Import RAML, import a published API. So whenever, so here we are doing APIs, right? Here we can publish this to Exchange and we can get it from there. And here we have one more option called as import RAML from local file. So here what we can do is, as I mentioned yesterday, here we can download it to our local file. So here you can see option set download. So this is one of the option, but this is not advisable to download and upload from the local, because sometimes when we are downloading something may be corrupted, something may be changes coming. So it is not advisable to download and load it. Instead of that, what we can do is, we have one more option called as download RAML from design center. So if we do this one, it will automatically, the Mule will take it from design center. No need of downloading it into local system, but it will automatically load it from design center. So if we select this one, click on browse. So since I have already connected to the our Anypoint platform, I'm sure I'm able to see all the APIs here. So here if you see, I have 3 APIs. I will go to design center again. So here see, I have built 3 sample APIs and one of them is our employee onboard. That is why I'm able to see all these 3 RAML files here. But if at all it doesn't come up for you like this, go and click on add account. If you click on add account, it will show you a box where you can sign in using your credentials like this. So whenever you sign in, it will come, this page will be loading automatically for you. So username, see, this is my username, Kirti1IT. So it is loading again, we have selected. So I will select my RAML file, employee onboard. Click on OK. So now based on this, my project will be created automatically. No need of creating any files, but it will create automatically. Let's see how it is creating. See, everything is done. You are importing the following API, employee onboard base URI. Everything has been coming here. Then click on finish. See, now you can see there is a file automatically created, and we can see multiple things here. We have something called as listener, and we are seeing new thing which is called as API kit router. So what is this API kit router is? Here whenever we are saying, so what we have developed yesterday, our YAML file, let's see. In the single API only, we are giving multiple subpaths and we are building multiple APIs. So Mule will automatically generate this API kit router so that whenever we are giving, suppose let's say add employee, it will go to add employee flow automatically. No need of flow references and all. So let me show you. So here everything has been automatically generated. If you see here on error, propagate on error. So all this one, if all this error handling is being provided by our API kit router only. And if we scroll down, we can see all our APIs. Yesterday we have seen delete and delete with ID, and patch. We have given patch with update as our operation name, and fetch with get operation, and add employee with post. So all these flows have been automatically generated. So whenever we hit our API with whatever the operation name, let's say I'm hitting add employee in my postman, my Mule project will be triggered based on this API kit. Sorry, API kit router only will be routing it to that particular flow. So here we have, and here there is one more extra flow that is called as API employee onboard console. This is for API kit console. Generally, this won't be necessary in real-time projects. You can simply delete this one. Nobody will use API kit console. So just delete this one. So here, how many APIs we have in our main API? That many flows will be created here. And if you see, each flow has transfer message automatically coming. We did not load anything. Just by simply loading our API, all these have been generated, and each flow has transfer message. If we open it, it will have code 200 success. How this is coming here, this data? Yesterday, remember, we have given examples for all of the success responses. So for add employee, post, I have given example like this. For update, I have given like this. For delete, I'm giving like this. So for all the success scenarios, it will generate, it will give the transfer message something like this. So for let's see patch 200 success, like this. Okay, let me just run it and show you how it will be triggering it. So whenever my API triggers, my first listener, this will be triggered, and this step will be coming. After coming to this step, API kit router, my original flow, my whatever subpath flows are there, right? Add employee, fetch employee, those will be triggered. So now I will be keeping a breakpoint here. And let's generate our APIs. I will say whatever it is there. Localhost 8081. What is our base path we have given in our in YAML? Employee itself, employee, and I will say we have fetch, we have, right? Fetch with the query parameters, we have fetch. And what is my query parameter? emp id. emp id. I will do a get operation. That's all. Yes, console. It is deployed, and I'm keeping my debug point at the API kit router level. I'll trigger my API. Okay, one more thing to observe here is in the listener, whenever we are loading our project from API, generally this path will be there. So API will be there in the general path. It will be coming by default. So whenever we have to trigger it, it will be like this. Fetch employee slash API slash fetch. So now that I did not give API, it is coming as no listener found for endpoint. Now I will give API, and now I will give. Let me try it. Not found. Base path. Okay, it is not giving base path as well. I will just remove this base path. It is triggering. So whenever we are loading APIs, so basically default this will be generated. So if you want to change, you can change it here. So if you don't want API but you want employee here, you can change it here. And if you want to give employee as your base path, you can give it here like that. So here, what is my first step? It is coming to API get router, and what I'm giving get fetch. So fetch is my operation. It is my sub API, right? So if I click next, it will automatically come to fetch subflow. Not it is not a subflow, it is a child flow. I can say it is a child flow because it is a flow because here we have error handling. So this is a flow. Child flow, I will say child flow. And I will say next. It is saying success. So in this way, whenever we are designing YAML first and whenever we are loading our application, no need of creating manually everything. Almost half of the project will be loaded automatically. So this is one of the advantages of going in this approach, designing first and then building based on the YAMLs. Any questions here?
So when we created manually, we were not having this API kit, right?
No.
Kirti. Okay. So
Whenever
that's
we
why
are
we
doing
were not
manual.
able to create multiple flows in the single project.
Correct. Yeah.
Is it?
Yes.
Oh.
So even if you want to create multiple APIs in single project, what we have to do is we have to keep different listeners. It means we have to keep different path names with the same. We have to create
Trigger
different
URLs.
configuration. Yeah, in the subpath we have to give different URLs. We have to keep multiple listeners. So to avoid all those things, we can do in this approach so that it will be automatically created everything for us. Okay. Any questions?
Katie, I have a doubt here. Like
Okay.
when we have to get an idea that we have to create a YAML file according to the client request.
So when we have to create a YAML file means generally if at all they are asking you to create any APIs. So we have two different types of projects, right? First type of project is client is asking APIs. So then in that case we have to go and create YAML files and we have to follow this approach. And whenever they are telling that they don't require any APIs, but they will trigger it on their own using scheduler. So remember, while using FTP operations and use cases, we have used scheduler on the source instead of listener. So in that case, if at all they don't need any APIs, why to create listener? Why to create API document and all? You can simply go with the starting of the development. You can keep a scheduler and then you can follow the steps. So mostly
Okay,
in
Katie.
MuleSoft, mostly 90% they will be asking for APIs, for developing of APIs only. So if at all they're asking for APIs, you have to go in this approach. You have to design the YAML first. You have to understand what are the operations you need to do. You have to design the YAML, and first step is to design YAML. The second step is developing. So how you can develop? You
Okay,
can simply,
so generally in a real-time experience, we have to create a first a YAML file and we have to show that YAML file to the client and we get an approval that is okay or not. Then we have to create a application in Anypoint MuleSoft application, like
yes,
Anypoint Studio, right? In this.
yes.
Okay, then understood. Katie.
Okay. And now let's see what are all the components we have to see. So in general, how the architecture goes, I will explain you. So this is how you will be getting one file, right? So now if you see here, we have, let's say I have 4 APIs. That's why four flows have been created. Let's say I have 10 APIs. Then 10 flows will be created here. But if at all in this case, if we have 10 flows here only, what will happen is the readability will not be good. So if you recollect this one for post employee, like for add employee, what we have done, we have kept something like this. We have doing some transformations, then we are inserting the data into database, and then we are giving the response. So something like this, we'll be having like 4 to 5 shapes here. Generally also, if you have some other complex logics, like if at all this comes as, so remember we have used choice, like if at all this comes as greater than 0, size of payload greater than 0, something should happen. We have to consume some other APIs. So if at all there is some big logic here, if at all we are doing all the steps in this main XML file only, it won't look good. So the readability will be gone, because if at all for all the flows, I will be having 10 to 20 shapes like this. So to avoid this one, what generally architecture continues is, I mean, generally how the project continues is, under SRC main Mule, we will create a new folder called as, let's say, implementation. Under implementation, what we will have is, we will have each for each API, we will create one file, one Mule file. Let's say I will create new. For this is the RAML file, sorry, Mule file, right? So I will create Mule configuration file, and I will click on. I want to add a file for add employee API. So I will say add employee flow, or I will say just add employee. Click on finish. It will be created in the main only. Don't worry. You can simply drag and drop to implementation like this. In that way, I will have multiple flows. Like let's say I have new. I have, what is my other API? I have fetch. So I will say fetch. And what is my next API? It is what do I have? Fetch, and I have add employee, and I have update. And the next one is delete. So I will just drag all of my implementation files to this implementation folder. Let me just stop the execution because it is becoming slow. And I will keep this one here. And I will keep this one here. And my main flow will be in this one only, in my main SRC main Mule only. All the other REST implementation files will be in my under my implementation folder. And what I will do is, here and in my, suppose let's say add employee, in add employee, I will start my main flow. Let's say I want to do some database insert, or let's say database insert here. So I will start my flow from here. And what I will do is, I will call this flow from my main flow in my add employee. So here what I have is add employee. Where is, yeah, add employee. I will remove this one. Let me just copy this one. I will remove this transfer message, and I will call that flow using flow reference. And what is the flow name? Add employee flow. Okay, give a appropriate name for this one also. Add employee. So whenever my API is triggered, it will come to API kit router. It will directly come to this one, and here I will be seeing only flow reference. So in that way, my main flow will be having all flow references. That's all. No logic will be done. No implementation will be done. All the implementation will be done in the implementation files, which is under implementation folder in each respective flows. So here add employee. So I will give here my transfer message. Whatever the implementation we are doing, whatever the logic we are supposed to do, I will be doing here instead of in the main flow. Let me just remove it like this. Okay, in the similar way, I will be doing for all of the things. I will have a flow reference, and I will just remove it. I will have the transfer message in my, this is what is this fetch. I will go to my fetch flow, and I will create a separate flow here, and in this one I will be doing all my implementation. So here in my main flow, what I will be doing, I will be just calling that flow, fetch flow. That's all. Okay, in this way, my readability, whatever the file which we are doing, whenever we are opening our project, what we generally see is we see for the main file. This is my main file. I will open this file, and in this file, by seeing, we will just understand what are the number of APIs we have, and where to see the implementation. We have to go and see in this parent flows, child flows. Go to the reference flow, and that's all. Here, if you want to have multiple flows, you can have it. Whatever the logic you want, you can have it here. So this is the structure which we follow. And as you all know, we have SRC main resources where we keep all our property file, property file. All of the property files will be kept under SRC main resources. And if you see here, there is one more folder already created called as API. So if I expand this, I can see the RAML file, employee onboard.raml. So whenever I have loaded with RAML file, right, it will come automatically. Whatever you have seen, whatever we have developed here, it is coming in this one automatically. Based on this only, it got created. And suppose, let's say if you want to change something in here, generally we can do it here also. Like suppose if I want to give some more, I want to give finance update or something like this. On enter. So if we see here we have to type it manually. In yesterday's class, whenever we are doing enter, automatically the indentation is coming and automatically all the suggestions were coming. But in Anypoint Studio, they won't come. We have to do with our own. Like enter, I have to give one tab and I have to give post. Then if I click on enter, I have to give one more tab like this. So generally, all the developers prefer Design Center because it is very easy to do and it is very friendly, right? We have all the suggestions and everything will be done without any errors. Even if you do some errors, it is very difficult in Anypoint Studio to identify the error, what is happening there. It is very difficult. And the next thing you can see here is SRC. In the SRC main resources, you see log4j2. This XML also generated. What is this XML file? Let me show you. So if you open this XML file, you will be seeing some code for all the loggers. So this is the basic implementation of logging. So if you see onboarding employee.log, so this is just for whatever we are doing logging, right? This is basic implementation. In real-time projects, some of the clients will be asking you, like, they don't want the Mule logs, but they want some other third-party logs. Like, let's say example, Splunk. Splunk is a logging system where it provides all the logs. So what we have to do is simply, there is nothing to worry. We have to search for a code which where we can add that particular log here. So we have to implement that. We have to connect to Splunk logging system through here. And if you search online, you will be getting simple code like that. You just need to paste it here. And in Splunk, whatever it is not our concern, client will configure Splunk in such a way that we can access that one. So they will provide access to our MuleSoft. So if at all any third party, if at all any clients comes and ask for third party logging system, this is where we need to add it. And we have something called as SRC main Java. So this one, what we have is here, suppose mostly 90% we don't use this one. What is this one is, if at all there are any APIs, any systems we have to connect and that Mule is not providing by default, and even if we want to purchase something, MuleSoft by default, it doesn't have that standard API. We have to use Java code for that one. So for in that case, we have to keep Java code, java.class files in this folder. So mostly it won't be any case like Mule is providing all the APIs, 90% of APIs. If at all any client comes that he's having customized API, only for that company only it will work. So that won't be provided by MuleSoft. In that case, if we want to invoke that one, we can invoke it using Java files and we can keep that in SRC main Java. Okay. And here if you can see. Yes, Karthik.
No, I'm just saying it's okay.
Okay. And if you see here, we have something called as Mule artifact.json. So if you open here, you will be able to see what is the Mule version, runtime version we can have. So it is automatically generated when we are doing in this way. And here we have something called as com.xml. I think someone already has mentioned this point. Whenever we are loading some jar files, If at all you have the jar files for the DB, right? If at all we are having some jar files, we are loading it from local system. But if you don't have jar files, in online, they will be providing you the dependency files. So dependency code. You simply need to add the dependency here. That's all. See here for Mule HTTP connector automatically loaded when I loaded that component in my Mule palette. This will be automatically generated. So if at all you have something, any dependency, and they provide you code, this is where you come and paste it under dependencies. Just add that code here. It will be coming into your Mule palette. Okay, this is the structure which we follow in general real-time projects. And whenever you're creating property files, please remember you have to create in SRC main resources, because if at all you create in this folder, this will be automatically configured, means it will be automatically understood by MuleSoft. That no need of giving again the entire path. You can simply create your property file, .properties file or .yaml file. It is based on your wish. You can create it. Okay, any questions here?
And Kirti, I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
When we are adding project to the implementation in the package explorer, can we call the previous programs? Like
Programs.
data, I mean delete.xml అని మీరు క్రియేట్ చేశారు కదా ఇప్పుడు. అలా కాకుండా ఆల్రెడీ ఇంతకుముందు మనం చేసాం కదా అది.
ఓకే, వేరే ప్రాజెక్ట్ అంటున్నారా? లేదండి, ఏ ప్రాజెక్ట్ స్కోప్ ఆ ప్రాజెక్ట్. వేరే ప్రాజెక్ట్ మనం ఈ ప్రాజెక్ట్ లో మనం కాల్ చేయలేము. మీకు కావాలి అంటే మీరు ఆ ప్రాజెక్ట్ లో ఉన్న ఫైల్ కావాలంటే ఇక్కడ కొత్తది క్రియేట్ చేసుకొని పేస్ట్ చేసుకోవడము, ఆ లాజిక్ ఇక్కడ పేస్ట్ చేసుకోవడం అలా చేసుకోవచ్చు. కానీ ఈ ప్రాజెక్ట్ నుంచి వేరే ప్రాజెక్ట్ లో ఉన్న ఫైల్ ని కాల్ చేయలేము.
ఓకే
ఓకే
ఓకే.
Yeah. Now, if at all you are clear this one, we will go for deploying. How to deploy? We have multiple ways to deploy. So let's go to Anypoint cloud platform. So మనం cloud platform లో ఎంతవరకు ఏం చూసాం? Design center చూసాం. Design center generally used for designing ramels. Now where to deploy? So if you come to runtime manager in Anypoint platform, ఇక్కడ మనము we have to deploy our projects. This is where we deploy our projects. So I have already few deployed mock services. Let's see how to deploy. If we click on deploy application here it will be asking you for some jar file. So there are two ways. So one way is come to your project, click on right click, and you can see an option for exporting. So here we have an option for exporting. Click on export, and you can see under Mule. So there are multiple options. If you see under Mule, there will be a Mule deployable archive. So if we click on this and click on next, and I will select where to be downloading that one. I will select desktop jars, and I will just give the project name. This is already project name coming as it is. I will click on save, and I will click on finish. So that deployable jar will be generated if we are exporting. In this way only I have sent you. So I think yesterday I have sent you, right? This folder, I don't think I have sent you. Okay. So here in this way you will be exporting your jar file. So in jar files I have my project onboarding employee API.jar. So here after deploying this one, after exporting this one, I can deploy it while coming into runtime. I can give my name, my project name, like onboarding employee. That's all. I'll give the API. So here if you see, we have some constraints for giving names, like it should have minimum length 3 characters. So we only follow. If at all we did not follow, some error will be coming. Let's say I will be giving only like this. So it says minimum 3 characters should be there. So you have to follow that naming convention. And I will explain you what are all of this. I will explain you step by step. First, let's see. And what we have to do, this is deployment target is Cloud Hub, and we have to select the file. So click on choose file, and here we have two options: import file from Exchange and upload file. So here we are doing upload file, and I am selecting my jar file like this and click on open. So this file will be loaded now. If I click on deploy application, this application will be deployed. But this approach is not a standard approach. This is not a standard approach because whenever we are doing some changes and if we are exporting it, if at all any file is corrupted, our entire project will be in a problem phase. So to avoid this one, what we can do is, I will just click on cancel here. I will just go back. I did not deploy that application until now. Instead of that, what we can do is, we can deploy it from our Anypoint Studio itself. How to do that one? Right click, go to Anypoint platform. Here we have something called as Anypoint platform. Here you will see multiple options. Publish to exchange. Publish to exchange means whatever we are doing in this project, we can just publish to exchange so that other people also can consume this one. Otherwise, we can download YAML from Design Center. So we have multiple options. So here you can see deploy to Cloud Hub. Click on deploy to Cloud Hub. So if at all you are already logged in, it won't ask you for login. And if you don't, if you don't logged in, it will ask you for logged in. So I have already logged in, that's why it is coming automatically. So see here, I did not type my name here. It is automatically loading from my project name itself. And it is selecting my runtime version. So I have done in this point, right, in this project, so it is automatically selecting this runtime version. So here, this is the standard approach to deploy to the Cloud Hub. And what are the things which we have here? Let me explain you. In runtime, we have runtime version. This we all know. What is the runtime version? We can select our runtime version. What is worker size and workers? Worker size means, so here if you see, if you select this one, it will be asking you, it will be giving you some information like 500 MB memory, 1 GB memory. So in this way, so for running this process, we can select how much memory has to be consumed by MuleSoft, by Cloud Hub. So generally, if our project contains huge flows and it will take much time and much space to execute, we have to select the other course also, like 0.2 V course, 0.4 course, like this. So this course, so this, since this is an what is this, a community edition, right? We should be generally selecting 0.1 V course. If at all, like if at all a client has like I have huge applications, like I have 10 APIs. Each API will be having 1 lakh records, and it will be it will be invoked 1 lakh times. So at that time, our APIs will be consuming much memory and much time. So for that situations, you should increase worker size, and also we should increase the number of workers. So one worker size is 500 MB memory. This is the minimum memory we have to take, and we can select the number of workers. Here I don't see any options for workers because this is my community edition, free edition. But if coming to enterprise edition, whenever the client buys the enterprise edition, right, he will based on the requirements only, our architects, Mule architects or on-site team leads, they will be deciding that based on the requirements, they will be analyzing how many workers we need, and they will purchase that number of workers. So while deploying, usually we will be selecting 0.1 week core, and here one worker will be there. If at all you are working in a big project like 2 to 3 years, the project will be going on, and it has many APIs, and each API will be having like 1 lakh records and 1 lakh times it is getting invoked. At that time, they will mention you specifically that how many week core should be there and how many workers should be there. This is called, whenever we are doing this 1 week or worker size and workers, this is called load balancing. So in interview, if at all they ask you about load balancing, how you do load balancing in MuleSoft. So you can say, while deploying, we have options like worker size and workers. We can increase worker size or we can increase workers based on the requirement, based on the APIs, number of APIs heated. So in that way you can see. And next, coming to properties tab. So here, just ignore this one. I will explain you this one, what this is. So here you can give a list of properties. So in properties in our Mule file, Mule project, if let's say I have 2 to 3 files here, whatever the files like dev.yaml, test.yaml, prod.yaml. Remember, when we are doing the properties, when we are doing a project with properties, while running it, we are giving some runtime properties, like we are going to run configurations. And here in this one, we are giving runtime values, like we are giving -d env, like this. equals to dev. So if we keep it like this, that means we are giving from dev.yaml. If we are giving from like test, we are taking from test.yaml. If we are giving from prod, we are taking from prod.yaml. So how to give this one? So how to give this in runtime in Cloud Hub means here we have to give. Oh, sorry. Here we can give. Okay, I have to close this. Yeah, here you can say env equals to prod, something like this. So no need of, so whenever I say no need of changing the code, this is what I meant. While deploying, if you give env equals to production and deploy it, production.yaml file .yaml details will be coming and they will be running with based on that properties. So here we should give our generally whatever the dot property file you are going to invoke, that you have to give here. Okay. And inside this is very this you can simply ignore, this we don't use at all. So this is just for metadata, so no need of worrying about this one. And logging. So what is logging means, here in Mule, if you observe, whenever we are dragging and dropping logger, we have some option called as type of logger, means level of logger. Generally it will be info default. But if at all you want to say different types of error, let's say I want to keep a log based on debug and I want to keep error type of log. So something, let's say something has errored out, and at that time you want to keep a logger and you want to mention what type of log is it, so that you can mention error type of log. So here we have different types of logging. So to tell Mule, so what type of log we have to configure for getting, we can select it from here. What type additional logs, like what are the type of logs you want to show in the logs. Whenever it is running, you want to show only info level logs, you will see that one. You want to see only error, so info level logs means we are keeping multiple logs, let's say, and client doesn't want all those info logs. He doesn't care about what info we are giving. But if at all any debug is coming or any error is coming, at that time only he wants to see that logs, so he can select based on this one. And static IPs, this is not usable again. So whenever so this is just taken care by CI/CD. So means whenever it is very high level, so you can just simply ignore about this, what is static IPs and all. This is taken, this is not under developer scope. It will come under all the, if at all we after development we are giving our application to client, what he does with the application in their company, that is with the static IPs. So don't worry about it. So this is the things which we need to take care about while deploying. So I have given my API name, and we are doing it automatically from my Anypoint Studio, and I will click on deploy application. So it is deploying. Give it some time. So it will take 2 to 3 minutes for deploying our application. In the meantime, let me check here. So deploying onboarding employee API to Cloud Hub, I will say open in browser so that I can see that one. It is deploying. Whenever it is deployed, it will show us something like this, started. So whenever it says started, that means at that time only it is deployed. It will take few minutes. Let's see. So if you just click on this one, you will see all the details, runtime, worker size, workers, what you have selected. And this is API URL, I will explain you. So remember when we are doing mock services, I have given some mock services for consuming. So this is how I deployed, and I have given you this mock URL for execution. So after deploying, if I take this URL and if I hit it, our API should work. So here in place of my host, so this one already has created. So whenever we are deploying, my local host and my port will be covered with this domain. So Mule will give us this domain. So you can select it, you can click on this domain and you can give here. In place of local host and port, I will give this one. That's all. And remember, we used to give 80. So when we should give 80, we can generally ignore 80 or we can give 80. It is our wish. So whenever we are consuming some APIs, port is mandatory. That's why we used to give 80 in MuleSoft development. But while invoking, 80 is optional. We can give or we cannot give. It will work as same as easy. Okay. And it is deployed. It is coming started. So if you click on this one, generally it will show you all the details here. And if you click on this hyperlink on the name, it will give you some more all the insight, all the details. Like this is a dashboard. So what is happening here, it will show you. So last updated on time, and it will give you some graphical chart also. Just give it a minute. Logs, if you click on logs, you will see that your application is started like this. You can see this one, schedules, object store and queues. We'll see in the coming classes why we use object store. Generally object store is for caching the data. And settings, if you go and see the settings, you will see all the options which we used for deploying. So if at all you want to change some properties, you want to give properties env to test, you have to give in it here. After deploying, you need to change it again. Suppose from production I want to do it test, I will give it to test, and I have to change it again. I have to click on apply changes so that it will be redeployed. So let me hit it. It is coming as success. This means our mock service, this is not a mock service, our employee onboarding API has been deployed perfectly and it is working. Even if I give :80 here, it will work. Okay, any questions here?
Kirti, could you please go to the design center, API manager? Yeah. Click on the logs on the left side. Yeah. Here, listener, can we see what's going in the Anypoint studio? Like
Yeah, so let's do
listener.
one thing. So let's say until now I did not keep any logger, right? Let's keep a logger here and let's see. So for fetch, I will say I will keep a logger and I will say fetch API triggered. Okay, this log we have to see in our main logs. I will deploy this one again. So for the deployment, we have to follow the same steps. Anypoint platform, deploy to Cloud Hub. Let me close
And
this
this
window.
deployment time, yeah, is this deployment time depends on the number of flows, right?
Number of flows and number of in the entire project. Okay. So if at all you're having single only one file, it will take some small time. So basically, whenever we are
Yeah.
deploying, it will take this much amount of time only. It is deploying again. So here there is one option, override existing application. So this will be automatically clicked whenever we are doing it from our Anypoint studio. But if you are doing manually, like if you want to do it manually, you have to export it again and you have to load it again. So instead of that, you can directly do it from Anypoint studio. That is advisable.
Okay.
See here, still deploying. Open in browser. Updating. It says updating. At the first time when we are doing it first time, it came like deploying. Now it is updating because that already exists and we have overriding with our some changes.
Yes.
I will So this is for deploying. So where we do deploying is in runtime manager. So we have something called as API manager. So what do we use this API manager is for applying any policies. Like suppose if you see here, we have deployed our application and without any authentication, without anything, without any headers, we are simply testing it and it is working. But client what he says is, I don't want to be my API, my link like this. If at all I give this link to you, it will be working for you also. So I don't want like this, but I want to have some authentication. That user, whoever is using this API, they need to give some authorization. Like for this one, I have to have some basic authentication. That particular username and password will be given by me. Only for that users only this API should be working. So to apply these policies like basic authentication policy, we have to do whatever we have to do. We have to do in this API manager, not in runtime manager. Runtime manager is just only for deploying our applications. Whatever we have done, that we have to do like we have to deploy the same again. We have to there are multiple steps to do that one. So I will explain you in next class. It will take so much of time. So we have to do in API manager. This is just for information. I will explain you in detail how to do that one, how to apply the policies, and how to make our API secure. So if you see here, we have in the deployment. So here we have seen design phase, then building and testing. And after this one building, so let's say here I am just giving you some implementation. Generally, we have to do all the implementation. Let's say you have built all the implementation. After what is the next step? We are deploying. And if at all they need security, then we will provide the security. How we will provide the security is using API manager. Is deploying. Let's see what is happening here. If I click on this name, you can see in the logs, your application has started successfully. Sometimes it will come just 10 to 15 seconds before getting green symbol here. So it is better you wait for that symbol, starter symbol.
కీర్తి మధ్యలో వాయిస్ బ్రేక్ అయింది ఆ ఇమేజ్ ఓపెన్ చేసినాక.
Okay, మళ్ళీ చెప్తాను. So here whatever we are doing, right? So we have designed the YAML, we have built and test, like we have whatever the implementation has been done and our specification is ready, our APIs are ready. After that one, we are doing deploying and securing. So if at all after deploying, the client says we have to have some secure APIs, we have to secure the APIs using API manager. That's what I was saying. So deploying is done in runtime manager, securing is done in API manager. Let's check this one if this is updated or not. Since we have seen that your application has been started, let's see if at all it is working or not. It is giving success. I think it did not start. Yeah, it is started. See here, fetch API triggered. Whatever we have given log there, it is coming here. This one. Fetch API triggered. Fetch API triggered.
Yes.
Yeah. So after doing all the necessary actions, it will come like this. Application was updated successfully with 0 downtime. The new version of your application has been launched and the old version has been stopped. So it is better you wait for the green symbol first. Okay, any questions here?
No, Kitty.
Okay. In next class, we will see how to secure these APIs, how to perform policies on these APIs. So we'll be having our next class on Monday. So tomorrow and day after tomorrow, Karthik, since you don't have laptop ready, so you can you can work on RAMLs. Since it is online, right? You can open in any system and you can work on RAML. You can create a RAML file for whatever the APIs we have developed. And rest of you, so since I think these APIs, the whatever I have pinged in the chat box, FTP properties using dev.properties and dev UAT and all, and then securing those properties. If at all they are completed, you can proceed for the next assignments, which is we have seen in this week error handling, right? So do two POCs, I mean do your assignments. One is for use on error, propagate, and on error continue. And there should be one more project with error handler. Remember error handler, we have kept one error handler, and in that we have kept all our error handling, whatever we have done error handling. And you should also capture custom error, means you have to raise error. Okay, so this you can do on your own, like if you want to keep a scheduler, it's your wish. You want to keep a listener, it's your wish. So whatever you feel comfortable, you can do on it. Helping you in the chat box. On Monday, we will review all this one. So in this week, we did not get time to review this APIs, right? So please be ready with these three. So first one is FTP, fetch the data from CSV and push it to database, use a scheduler. In the next project, you can create dot properties file or dot YAML file based on your comfort. And in the third one, create after creating the properties, use the runtime properties and use whatever we require, like dev properties, UAT production, and you also have to secure it. And then you should use on error propagate and on error continue. So if you want, you can do it in the single project itself, it's your wish, and use an error handler and raise a custom error. Okay, on Monday we will have a session just to review this only, because we have lots of things to review, and I am sure that you will be some doubts will be coming, because while practicing we may get many doubts. So if at all any problems are there, any doubts are there, we will resolve on Monday. And if we get some time, we will go to API manager and we'll see how to secure APIs. Okay.
Okay, Kirti.
Okay. If there are no doubts, we can end this session.
Yeah, thank you.
Kirti, can
Okay.
you please ping that? Okay. Good. Sorry.
Okay.
You will be mailing, right? Kirti, you told like
Yeah.
interview questions and resumes. Okay.
Yes.
Fine.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Kirti.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.